Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Duke, and this is my YouTube channel. So, the mandates, they're coming down. They just passed the businesses with 100 or more employees from the private sector forced vaccines. Well, not forced, but they say that you have to weekly test and wear a mask. In other words, be segregated. Very angry right now. I feel I'm already at a place where I've had the virus. I've already become one with it. I don't fear it. I feel completely immune to it. I know I've seen the studies out of Israel. I've been researching the shit out of this thing. I know natural immunity is more effective than the vaccine itself. It's pretty much been proven hands down.
Particularly since we do know that so far the data says, particularly the Israeli data, that the natural immunity you might get looks very, very different from this. It's more durable and longer lasting. The reason is pretty simple to explain. The virus is a very complicated thing with lots of different pieces on the surface. When you get the injection, you're getting just one snippet, one piece of information across the whole top of this outside of the virus. Your body makes antibodies against that one part. When you get exposed to the whole virus, you make antibodies against all these different parts, different things like the E protein, the N protein, the S, the spike. And when you have a much more robust, more polyheterogeneous sort of a response, then it seems to last longer for whatever reason. That's what the data says so far. All right, so as we look in this is kind of interesting because a permanent vaccine schedule may...
And I've seen proof how they've suppressed information, and I've seen enough information to know that this isn't what we've been told and what it seems. I've had the sickness myself. I've seen it in many other people, well over 20 people now. I work at a large-scale resort, and I've seen almost just as many vaccinated people test positive as unvaccinated. So I know for a fact vaccinated people get it, they spread it. I've also seen vaccinated people get sick from it as well.
As well, here's a headline written slightly differently in Bloomberg. Vaccinated people also spread the Delta variant, year-long study shows. So this is important information because, of course, one of the things we've heard is that the unvaccinated, according to some on the vaccinated side, are selfish because they're busy spreading this thing around. There's another way we could look at it too, though, which is if this data is correct and the vaccinated are spreading just as much as or nearly as much as unvaccinated, then they should know that, right? Because if you falsely believe that you are safe, right? Because even the President of the United States, what did he say? He said that healthcare workers who are vaccinated cannot pass COVID to their patients, right? That's the President of the United States spreading what turns out to be incorrect information. So looking forward to a correction on that from Jen Psaki or the President himself soon, because that's really important distinction, because if you falsely believe that you can't communicate a disease because you're vaccinated, but you can, well, now you're putting people at risk, potentially even somebody who is vaccinated, even double vaccinated, who's elderly or with comorbidities, they are still at risk. And we're going to show you data around that as well that comes to us from Sweden. Two really interesting papers.
So I know that they also changed the definition of vaccine, the CDC did, because of all this conflicting information, because of all this data that's coming out. We also have countries where most of the population's been vaccinated and the hospital rates are still just as high, or higher even, I think, in one instance. So this isn't about health. This is a type of warfare. And I guarantee it's going to get worse. Eventually they'll connect the driver's licenses to it as well, where you can't renew your driver's license unless you've had an updated vaccine. You can't travel if you haven't had an updated vaccine. You can't go into certain venues. You can't go to games. You can't go to restaurants. It's already being implemented in major cities. For those of you who don't pay attention or haven't been paying attention to it, it is happening. Last year when we said this, remember a year ago saying this is exactly what's going to happen. And many other people said the same thing. And, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Even the president himself came out, Joe Biden, and he said last year, I seen the clip where he said this thing will not be mandated.
President of the United States. No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would. No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power, just like I don't. No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything.
And now this year, what was conspiracy theory last year, this year is the truth. Last year, Facebook fact checkers were taking people down who said anything related that the virus came from a lab. And now this year, it's actually Fauci himself is, being put on trial, or, there's investigators all over this thing.
Dr. Fauci, I don't expect you today to admit that you approved of NIH funding for gain-of-function research in Wuhan, but your repeated denials have worn thin, and a majority of Americans, frankly, don't believe you. Even the NIH now admits that EcoHealth Alliance did perform experiments in Wuhan that created viruses not found in nature that actually did gain in lethality. The facts are clear. The NIH did fund gain-of-function research in Wuhan, despite your protestations. You can deny it all you want, but even the Chinese authors of the paper, in their paper, admit that viruses not found in nature were created, and yes, they gained in infectivity.
So this is like a war. It's also divide and conquer. First step is divide and conquer, to segregate people, vaccinated and unvaccinated. They also segregate through racism and belief in racism, prejudice and things like that. All kinds of different ways to separate people, Democrat and Republican. Countries, the world, I've never seen it more divided than ever. And it's only going to get worse. So I know the type of person, I know myself, and now that I've had the virus, I really don't want the vaccine. I know if I got the vaccine out of fear of losing, having to pay a mortgage on this new property we just got, and everything I feel is at stake. If I have to give up working in restaurants and bars, which that's really the only kind of work I know. But I am willing at this point to leave it, because I know if I got the vaccine 6 months down the road or whatever, if I started getting headaches or some kind of symptom would arise, even if it wasn't related to the vaccine, I would always think, why did I get that fucking vaccine? I knew that I didn't need it. I didn't want it. It was against my will. I did it, because to please other people or whatever, and I'd hate myself. So I made my decision, right or wrong, whatever the consequences are, I will not bow the knee. I will not bow the knee. This isn't about a vaccine. This isn't about a sickness. This has come down to, I will not bow the knee to this, whether it's right or wrong. I've made my choice. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Had to get that off my chest. I'll look forward to some more videos. I got another Highline video to show you guys some basics about the sport, and I'm going to have a bunch of other upcoming videos as well. I'm getting more time off from work right now, and the deadline for this mandate is January 4th. I will try everything, religious exemption, and it comes down to it, I'll test once a week. But if that becomes too outrageous, or you have to pay a large amount of money, or just if it becomes just too much of a problem, I'll end up quitting, which is sad, because I love my job right now. It's the best job I've probably ever had, one of them for sure. And I like where I work. I live close. It's close to the house. I don't want to lose that job. But if it comes down to it, I'll have to walk. I'll have to open myself to doing something different with my life. It's scary, it really is, but I'm willing to push through that fear. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you on the next video.